Hey there, thanks for tuning into Duckbricks. I'm Chris, and today I was just shown some pretty crazy LEGO Ninjago 15th Anniversary 2026 content, and I cannot talk about 99.9% of what I was shown today. But the last 0% of it, yes I can, because I have actually been given clearance to reveal something very special about next year's 15th anniversary of Ninjago. And this is something that is so top secret and confidential that I was not even brought into the loop today because, frankly, I think the Ninjago team wanted people like me and Bricks My Mind and other Ninjago creators to speculate on what this could be alongside the community. And I'm actually kind of happy they didn't show us because I feel like a big part of the fun of this announcement will be me getting to speculate along with all of you what this could be. If they just told me what it was today, this video would not exist because this is a speculation video of what I think it'll be. So the thing is, I am actually in Billund, Denmark right now in Legoland Hotel. This is the headquarters of LEGO. It has been a crazy, crazy day. We have seen so much stuff for 2026, and I think this is the very first piece of content that I can actually come out with for this event because it is so early and I'm very happy they're hopefully, fingers crossed, getting ahead of leaks and allowing the speculation to commence. So without further ado, let's jump up, kick back, whip around, and spin, and dock in to this video.
But for the meantime, we have these. Take a look at them. They're very cool. They're very ominous, but that's the whole point. These will be embargoed for October 2nd. And yeah, speculate on what these could be.
We're cooked.
Who are they? What are these minifigures? What do they represent? We'll talk a bit more about them in a little bit, but yeah.
October
More or less.
More
More or less.
Okay, so it is currently 2:30 a.m. here in Billund, Denmark, home of LEGO, where I have just come from an insane past 3 days LEGO Fan Media Days where we got a chance to see a ton of brand new LEGO sets, products, themes, ideas, stuff that's going to be coming out throughout all of next year in 2026, and it's been a very overwhelming past 3 days. It has been also one of the coolest experiences ever. It's my third time doing this, and this year was literally the best yet. But I might be a little biased because yes, there was a full-on massive Ninjago presentation, the likes of which we've never seen at previous events like this before. And the reason why I'm sitting here at 3 a.m., I leave for China tomorrow. I'm going with a ton of my friends. We're going on a huge trip and adventure. I literally could not wait to film my reaction to one of the many, many things we got to see for Ninjago, and my mind is racing at all the things we got to see. But we were told we could actually start teasing this as early as, well, when you're watching this video today is when I was able to post this content, so I just had to film this and get it ready to go before I left because my mind is blown. So obviously, as you know, Ninjago's 15th anniversary is next year. The theme has been going on since 2011, and 2026 is 15 years of Ninjago. Now, we got a chance to sit down for an entire presentation. It was like 30 minutes long, and even beyond that, we got more and more interviews. So I think all the Ninjago content altogether was like a couple hours worth of Ninjago reveals. Continuous just bombardment of Ninjago reveals shown to us rapid fire, one after the other. Sets. I can't say what the other stuff was, but very cool other things. All of the above, we got to see a crazy presentation. But there was one thing so top secret as of right now, they literally did not even tell us what it was, or what the minifigures would be. And I would not lie to you, Duckbricks does not lie on the internet. After all, who would go on the internet and tell lies? I am telling the truth when I say I am in the dark as much as you are all right now. So what is the whole deal here? Basically, the Ninjago team, including Brayden, aka Ninja Whip, who now actually works for LEGO, which is really awesome to have basically one of us on the inside because he delivered the best presentation alongside the great Ninjago designers who are all supporting the entire endeavor, like Lychee Wing and Demi and of course Neek, and the entire team came together. Sakota was there as well, if you know him from TTV. They basically revealed to us that not only is Ninjago Legacy returning next year, which we may or may not have known about thanks to a couple rumors swirling around, but there will be an exclusive minifigure included in every single one of the new Ninjago Legacy sets next year. And they showed us a really cool display of what all of these minifigures will look like when fully combined on their pedestals. This is very similar to LEGO Star Wars when they celebrated their 25th, I think it was, 25th anniversary last year, where they had all these stands where you could display minifigures and have them all lined up together. Star Wars did it for the 20th anniversary as well, so this is a similar concept that we've seen before, and we've also, of course, seen it for Ninjago's 10th anniversary all the way back in 2021, where we got exclusive Golden Ninja minifigures included throughout the sets. But the thing is, they have not told us what the minifigures are, and I'm really curious what your thoughts are in the comments. I have like a few speculations as to what this could be, and again, I have literally zero insider information. What you are seeing right now is all that we were shown with regards to these minifigures. So I literally have no idea what these could be, but I have a few guesses. So here's the thing. I think what they're wanting people to speculate, I feel like it's almost a red herring, where obviously you've got 6 minifigures and a master minifigure in the center with the Sensei Wu hat and a staff, right? So obviously I feel like everyone is going to be thinking, well, okay, it's going to be an exclusive version of Sensei Wu and special versions of the 6 original ninja, Kai, Jay, Zane, Lloyd, Cole, and Nia. Here is why I actually don't think it could be the case. There's a couple of reasons. First of all, a black Sensei Wu beard exists for Evil Wu, for Tech Wu from Rebooted. Now you could argue that like while they were throwing together the presentation, maybe they just didn't have that piece on hand, and it is supposed to be Wu, but they didn't want to fully give it away, so it's a fully silhouetted minifigure. But then I will say that the staff that the character is holding has a little bit of a different design than what we're used to for Wu. Now, Wu has had a few different builds for his staffs, like Ninjago Legends actually had a different, more intricate staff build, but this one actually utilizes the dragon hilt elements. And even stranger, it doesn't have a beard, which is why I actually think that this minifigure could be our first physical representation of the first Spinjitzu master, who obviously has the same style of hat as Wu, who might have a different type of staff. We don't really know. We haven't really seen it in the show. Technically, we saw what the first Spinjitzu Master's staff does look like in canon. In possession, it's a glowing golden staff, but obviously they can take some liberties, and I feel like if they were just making this figure Wu, he would first of all have the standard Wu staff, and they probably would have put the beard on too, just to kind of hint that it's Wu. So I actually think that this is a red herring. They want you to think this is the 6th ninja and Wu, and I don't think it is. Now, before I go into my ideas for what these actually are, if they were the 6th ninja, I think there's a couple ways they could do it. They could do what LEGO Star Wars did in 2019 for the 20th anniversary and remake the original 2011 ninja. So Kai, Jay, Zane, I assume they would do Nia as Samurai X, or maybe they would do Pilot's Nia, like the regular original version of Nia, I don't know. Cole, obviously, in his normal outfit, and then maybe we would get like Lloyd ZX as a remake. And I think that for the back printing, they would actually print Ninjago 15. You can see there's a little printed disc in the center that says Ninjago 15. They could print that emblem on the back, so they're obviously remakes of the figures we got 15 years ago, but they are printed on the back to keep them different. I honestly feel like that is maybe the most boring option out of all of it. I mean, it is possible. I guess the Ninja Hood, like the classic one, might still be around, or maybe they would consider bringing back the mold just for this. I don't really know. I think that would be not super interesting, especially for diehard fans who probably already have a ton of those figures. It's not like LEGO Star Wars, where some of those figures that we got reprints of back in 2019, like Lando Calrissian from Cloud City, are super rare and mega expensive. These minifigures are relatively common, so I honestly don't think they would just do that. I think that especially with fans on the team, they have a pretty good sense of what diehard fans of Ninjago want. But you also have to balance the diehard fans like you and me, who are probably a little bit older, who grew up with the show, with kids. And kids obviously would probably want to have the ninja as collectibles. So the other idea I had was, okay, well, if they don't just do straight reprints of the 2011 and 2012 figures, what if they did golden versions of them? Like a pearl gold version of classic Kai from 2011, pearl gold version of Jay, etc., etc., etc. Now, the only weird thing with that is that that's basically exactly what we got for the 10th anniversary all the way back in 2021, which realistically wasn't that long ago. That was 5 years ago. Would they do that again just 5 years later for golden versions of the ninja? And obviously it's different. Those ones were celebrating the adjectiveless or the Wild Brain 11-minute episodes, seasons, so they had the designs call back to those, and then these would obviously be going back all the way to the pilots and being golden versions of those characters. But I still really don't know. I feel like they could do it because kids like gold, and gold is a big emphasis on Ninjago's 15th anniversary. It's a big emphasis for Ninjago in general. I think they could do it, but I honestly think that there is a much more interesting option here. Would they do it? I would say like 40%, but I'm very happy to be surprised, and I want to hear people's speculation in the comments if there's like a secret fourth option I'm not even thinking of. So, option 3 for me. Obviously, option 1 was to reprint the 2011 Ninja with a print on the back. Option 2 was to redo the 2011 Ninja, but in gold, so pearl gold. And option 3 is do what LEGO Star Wars did with their 25th anniversary and give us characters in sets that we probably wouldn't ever see in a standard LEGO Ninjago set, even if they did Legacy. So, for an example, LEGO Star Wars gave us minifigures like Saw Gerrera, who... honestly, I mean, I could maybe see him coming in like an Andor set or something like that, but he is a pretty niche character to the extent that he doesn't really appear in any major action scenes from the movies. In Rogue One, he just kind of shows up and dies, spoiler alert, and he's present in the Bad Batch and in the video games for the Jedi video games, but he doesn't really have like a major presence in the movies, so I can see why that minifigure was made for the anniversary because it's a very desirable character. It's a minifigure that diehard fans of LEGO Star Wars have been wanting, but it doesn't really make sense to include him in any of their standard portfolio of SKUs or sets. And the same goes for something like Star Wars Legends from the expanded universe, right? So the EU going into that and pulling in a character from the Old Republic games and including him as a minifigure actually is a really good minifigure to get because it's something, again, fans want, but it doesn't really make sense to do an entire set based off of that concept. So going off of that idea, I think it would be really, really cool, and I don't know if LEGO would do it, but I think it'd be really cool if they gave us 6 minifigures, well 7, including the first Fujitsu Master, that we've just never gotten in sets before. And don't really make sense to include. So my number 1, I think, to complete the main characters from the very first couple of seasons of Ninjago is Dr. Julian. Dr. Julian, obviously the Tinker, Zane's father, he created Zane, and we've never really gotten a minifig of him. My only concern about that one is that I don't really know how marketable it is to kids to be like, hey kids, collect this special old man anniversary figure. Like, an old man is not as interesting as, like, Golden Ninja. You know, for kids. For adults, I mean, for me, I think that is infinitely more interesting than any, like, random ninja suit they could come up with. But again, we have to keep in mind, Ninjago is balancing, basically, producing things for the fans, but also doing things for kids as well. Would an old man minifigure, like, really draw kids to be excited about a new set? I don't know. Like, old man in lab coat, it's iffy. That being said, LEGO Star Wars gave us young Leia as one of the figures, and I honestly feel like nobody was really clamoring for young Leia from the Obi-Wan Kenobi TV show, but they put her in a set anyway as an anniversary figure. So if LEGO Star Wars can do it, if Ninjago took any cues from that, I'm very curious to see if like maybe they could do something like this. Other ideas for minifigures, I briefly thought about the Upley, but I actually don't think we'd get any of them because the Upley is kind of like a trio of characters, and obviously they wouldn't dedicate 3 slots to kind of the same style of characters, so I think probably definitely not the Upley. Other characters I can think of that are important from Ninjago, I mean, there are so many. There are so many characters we never got that are important, but I really have to sit down. I'm literally doing this off the cuff. I did not prepare this video. I didn't write a script. I didn't write down any of my thoughts. So this is off the cuff. I'm back in my hotel room after a night of hanging out with the Ninjago team where they entertained hearing our speculations and basically told us nothing. And they just said it was very interesting to hear what we had to say. But we got no information from them, as it should be. And to preserve the surprise, again, I have no other information. But I'm coming in here giving my raw thoughts. So Dr. Julian is a strong maybe because people have been asking for him for a while, especially the Mind, Bricks by Mind, really wants him. I honestly think another really good one could be a full metal version of Karloff, because obviously we have gotten Karloff as a minifigure before in the 2015 Tournament of Elements wave, but he's a super popular character who obviously has the elemental power of metal, and we've never gotten the metal version of Karloff. And now LEGO has really improved the way they can do metallic figures, where no problem they could make a figure cast in full pearl silver. So the legs, the arms, even the hands, the torso, the head, the helmet, everything could be pearl silver, and I think that that would be a really cool way to depict a character that, yes, we have gotten before, but in a form that we've never seen before, and I think that would be super cool. That's also a much more interesting figure. I'm not gonna lie, I love Dr. Julian, but that is a far more interesting minifigure to kids than Old Man in a White Coat. That's like an all-silver minifigure with big fists and armor and a helmet. I think that kids would really be excited about that, so I think Full Metal Karloff is my other choice, and again, I'm trying to limit myself to basically only picking 7 choices. The middle one, First Spinjitzu Master, I think so. So we have 4 to go, right? 4 more choices, it's not a lot. For the purposes of this video for speculation, I feel like they will want to dive more into the past of Ninjago and not focus on anything from, say, Dragon's Rising. So as much as I want to get characters like, for instance, a Hoodless Frack, or Mr. Frohickey. I think Mr. Frohickey is a major character people have been wanting, but I don't think they would include a character like that here. Even other side characters like Gandalaria, the Sorceress, you know? People that appear a lot in Dragon's Rising and are super relevant, I don't think they would include them as anniversary figures just because it isn't really the focus of the 15th anniversary. Dragon's Rising is ongoing. Who knows if they ever make, like, say, a monastery set. They could throw Frohickey in there. Or a city set. Put him in there, you know? For Dragon's Rising. So I'm going to rule out any characters introduced in Dragon's Rising. I'm also going to rule out characters like, say, the new ninja, because you would need all of them. It doesn't make sense to just get one. The next one I would pick is actually a pretty obscure one, and that's Hailmar. Hailmar was one of the Shintaro guards, and the reason why I like Hailmar as an idea for one of these figures is that he looks very similar to all of the other Shintaro guards, where if you really wanted to, you could treat him as a figure that you could army build, and it is a very cool design. First of all, it's golden, which kids will be excited by. I don't know if the Garmadon helmet is still in production from, we last saw it in, what was it, Crystallized? Did we see that? No, because he had the Oni mask. So I don't know when we last saw the Garmadon helmet. I would need to think back. Maybe it was Hunted, so they might need to bring back that mold, but anyway, he does use the Garmadon helmet basically in gold. It's a very unique design. It's a golden figure, but it's not one that really makes sense to revisit because I doubt we're going to be revisiting Master of the Mountain really anytime soon. So as a really cool design for a denizen of Shintaro, a character that we never really got to see in physical form, but was pretty prominent in at least that season, and a lot of him, like a lot of the guards wore similar armor, I think that would be my next pick, which leaves me down to 3, and man, this is really hard because a million figures are racing through my mind right now, but I basically have to bring it down to what is most realistic to get and also what strikes the balance between being cool for diehard fans, but also just a cool figure to get in general. I really want to get Kataru, Akita's brother, from Season 11. I think Kataru would be something very different. He kind of falls into like the costume characters, which people love in CMFs because he has like the bear headpiece on the top of his head. So I feel like maybe they could make a new mold for Kataru because that would be something that could excite kids. Like, oh, it's like a cute bear headpiece on the top of his head. He was, I would argue, like a pretty important character in Season 11, and we have Akita already from there, so it makes sense to get her brother, and that kind of pays homage to that era and that season of Ninjago, so I'm going to say Kataru for that one. I mean, there's a couple of Explorers Club members that could work, but I think they're not super interesting. I briefly considered, like, I'm considering Mistake, but I don't think, like, if they did Dr. Julian, I don't think they would do, like, old man and, like, random old woman, especially because Mistake doesn't have that interesting of a design, and technically, we did already get a version of Mistake in Ninjago City Docks, but that one wasn't really the one in the show. The torso was the same, but the headpiece was totally wrong, and so I don't really count that one as Mistake. But Oni for Mistake could actually be very interesting, and That is why for my second to last minifigure, I'm going to pick Oni form Mistake. They could use the fawn legs, which are still in production, to have those digitigrade legs that they use in the show. It's a very unique design because obviously the Oni version, like the full true Oni form of Mistake, is never something we saw in physical sets, but it was very relevant to the story. And despite the fact that it only really appeared in like one fight scene in one episode, Mistake as a character is very important to all of the Oni trilogy in general, seasons 8, 9, and 10. So I really feel like that would be a cool character to honor that era of Ninjago, right? We're trying to go across a full wide breadth of characters across all of Ninjago. I think that would be a very, very cool one to get. Now that leaves only one character left. So there's a lot of variants of characters I'm considering. There is Dr. Saunders, the kind of museum curator form of Crux. But we already got Crux, so I don't know if they would do him. Same thing with like Faith. We got Heavy Metal as a minifigure, and Faith is basically all you need is a different headpiece, and you can just use the existing Heavy Metal torso to make that. So I don't think they would do Faith, even though Faith is very important. But for the Oni trilogy, I actually would prefer we get something with all brand new detail, like Oni Mistake, versus Faith, which we only really need a new head for her. Other versions of characters, like Casual Harumi with like leg printing and a hood would be nice, but that would never happen because we literally just got her with the hair. What else? King Vangelis in his non-Skull Sorcerer form. That's a great one, but again, I already have Helmar on the list. Going back to some earlier Ninjago stuff, I think it'd actually be really cool, and this is a version of a character that we already got, obviously, but it is a version that I think people have been really wanting, and that is the Anachondri version of Master Chen from Tournament of Elements. So that's my last figure, and the reason why I picked that one is that Tournament of Elements is a pretty universally loved Ninjago season. I don't think I would list it in my top, maybe it's top 3. I would need to think about that. That might be a hot take. It's definitely not top number 1 for me, but I know it is number 1 for so many people because it did introduce so many interesting new aspects of lore to Ninjago with the Elemental Masters in the tournament. And I feel like that was obviously such a popular season. LEGO knows it was popular because they did Tournament of the Sources just last year, so I feel like paying homage to that era of Ninjago with Anachondri Chen, with a snake tail, with a purple face, the only thing is they'd have to bring back the Chen head sculpt, and I don't think they would do that. Like, it feels very unlikely that LEGO would produce a piece quite like that today. I think it would have to be very, very different. So that's my only thing of I don't know if we would get that. But then I guess with Silver Karloff, we would have 2 members from Tournament of Elements. So I don't think they would do 2 Tournament of Elements characters. So now I'm kind of back to the drawing board for the 7th character, and I mean, there's a lot of variants, right? And there's like Kabuki Mask Harumi. That would be a really cool figure to get, but I don't think we'd ever get it. Same with like regular Mr. F before getting crystallized. Not super realistic to get that because crystallized is a little controversial for what it is, so I don't know if they would really go anywhere near that season. And it is so tempting for me to say, well, obviously, Ericor. Ericor would be such a cool figure. He has 4 arms. You can just use the Garmadon upper torso and just reverse it, so you kind of have that design like they did with a shirtless Garmadon in the Ninjago movie or pajamas Garmadon. But again, I'm trying to stay away from Dragon's Rising because I just don't think they would honor it with an anniversary figure because that's the present and Legacy is celebrating the past. So honestly, while it's not the most interesting character, and it is by this point 3:30 a.m., so I'm sure I'm forgetting someone super obvious and super cool that we really should get that's just completely out of my mind, right? I'm sure I'm not thinking of someone, but the immediate one that jumps out to me is Lau, Cole's dad, who we've actually never gotten as a minifigure before. We've gotten Ed Nenda, we've gotten Ray and Maya, we have gotten basically all the other ninja parents except Dr. Julian and Lau. So if we're getting Dr. Julian, would that mean it's more or less likely that we would get Lau to complete the set? I really don't know. So I think Lau is an option. I also could easily see them doing some crazy version of Garmadon, and we've basically gotten every version of Garmadon we could ever need. The only other version of it that I can think of is the one possessed by the Overlord. So they would do a new mold for a dragon face on Garmadon's torso, maybe even do minifigure claws. I don't know if they would mold the claws, that's a little unrealistic, but definitely a mold for the head I think could be really interesting. Have them have wings on the back. And I think that would be a really cool idea to get possessed Garmadon, like possessed by the Overlord, because that was a very, very important character in the story, and Garmadon is such an important part of Ninjago's past, and he was basically the main villain for so long. I think it'd be a little silly to not include Garmadon in a set next year. I almost feel like it's more likely that for whatever the legacy sets that are coming out that we don't know of, it's more likely like Garmadon is in one of those versus an anniversary figure like this. And especially because we've gotten Garmadon before, I'm going to say Lao for this one, but it really could be a toss-up between both. Now, I am very, very curious because this is like literally all I can think of what these anniversary figures could be. Again, 2011 reprints with a logo on the back, golden versions of 2011, maybe like a legacy version of the kimono suits from season 2, but I doubt it. I think that's super unrealistic. It's much more likely that those would be like, say, the main suits for the Legacy Wave, but I can't talk about that because I just won't speak more on that because I don't know about that. And the last option, I mean, the only real option I have is random desirable characters that don't make sense to include in standard sets.
So as I'm editing this video, a fourth option has come to me, and that is because when these minifigures were unveiled, Brayden mentioned the word ominous, and he was like, this minifigure display is meant to be ominous. My thoughts are that there could be a possibility that these are actually all villainous minifigures, where we're going to get 7 different minifigures celebrating the villains. I don't really know if they would do that, but it would be awesome to see them bring back a version of Samukai, more with the mold kind of up to modern style and design. I think that would be very interesting. I still like the idea of random characters more, but I did have to mention that maybe there's a small chance all of these could be celebrating villains that we need to see revamped or new versions of instead.
So my lineup is what I just presented, and I'm very, very curious to see what these actually end up being. And in the comments, let me know, is there a fourth option that I'm not thinking of that you think the anniversary wave could be? Random characters, gold in 2011, or 2011 reprints with a logo on the back. Those are my only ideas in my mind right now, but I'm very curious. What do you think in the comments? Let me know. What would you like to see for the anniversary figures? And the only other speculation I have is that I don't actually think there are 7 legacy sets. I think there's actually only going to be a few less than that. I think there's going to be like 5, maybe 4 or 5. And the reason why I say that is that for other themes, like when Harry Potter celebrated their anniversary, one of the biggest sets, the Hogwarts Icon set, included a little stand with 3 minifigures. There was a centerpiece, and then there were 2 other minifigs on the side, all in gold, and they of course had collectible minifigures throughout all the other sets, just like this. And I feel like Ninjago would do something similar, where I think it's kind of a no-brainer. Again, this is actually not something I've been shown. I want to make it very clear. I don't know about this. This is not inside information. This is pure speculation. I personally think, as a fan, it would be silly not to put out a new Ninjago city next year, right? It's the 15th anniversary. They did one for the 10th. I think it's almost a no-brainer to expect a city in some form next year. This is not something we were shown today or yesterday. This is not something we are shown at all. So again, I don't know. I just think that if we did have a city, it would make sense to have a special stand with the first Ninjutsu Master, 2 other characters alongside him, maybe 2 of like the less exciting ones, like maybe like, I don't know, Dr. Julian and Lao, which to kids are not that exciting, but the FSM is exciting, and then the big set itself is exciting, and then scatter the other minifigures throughout the other sets. So basically, that would leave 4 other legacy sets to get anniversary minifigures from. We know from rumors at least like 2 or 3 of them, depending on what they end up being, and I won't speak more to that, just based on what text lists are out there, which we are allowed to talk about. As members of LAN, we can comment on text-based rumors, but we know like there are like legacy sets coming that we are aware of. So I think it's much more realistic to expect to have like 5 tops legacy sets, because obviously we have other sets as well for Dragon's Rising and all that. So those are my predictions. I'm very curious to hear what folks have to say in the comments, and I'm super, super curious that in probably just a few months we will know if I just guessed anything correctly. I further reveal if I guessed anything correctly in this video, I will like cut back to it because that would be really, really cool. And I have no idea. I know that some of the folks on the Ninjago team said they're gonna watch this video when I put it out, so I'm so curious. Like, DM me whenever the announcement comes out because I want to talk to you about this when we all can like openly talk about it, because I'm so curious if anything I speculated here is correct, or it's gonna be really funny to like look back at this video and be like, wow, I was wrong on like every front. I didn't guess a single thing correctly, and it was something completely different that wasn't in my mind at all. So that's all I have to say for this video. I gotta go to bed because I fly out to China in like 4 or 5 hours, so I'm pretty cooked. Some would say I'm merged right now. I mean, honestly, it's a monstrosity that I'm still awake. Some would say a Ninjago Legends monstrosity, but this has been so much fun. I cannot wait to speculate alongside the community, and I'm so glad that the team is allowing us to publish this content so early because it's before leaks. It's before that we will have the full minifigure lists be leaked. So we actually, I mean, fingers crossed, it's like a week away at this point. So as long as nothing leaks in a week, I'm very excited about the community actually being able to speculate about something for once and not just have a leak come out and be like, oh, well, these are the minifigures coming out. So can't wait. That's all for this one. Very long-winded video. I'm rambling at this point because it's very late, but I hope you enjoyed, and thank you so much for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe for even more LEGO news, reviews, discussion, and analyses coming away very soon. Bye for now.